What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so this is the last player that I want to talk about in that video request I had where the brother Aram wanted me to give my opinion on how four players would look in today's game or how I think they might play in today's game. The other three were, you remember, Earl the Pearl Monroe, Pete Maravich, and Jerry West. So this is last one. Walt Frazier. Of course, Walt Frazier at one point was a top 50 all-time player. I still think he's probably top 75, top 80. One of the, depending on how you look at it or who opinion you have on this, a top 10 to top 15 all-time point guard, two-time NBA champion, and one of the most popular players and one of the most influential players of his generation of the 60s and 70s. And fortunately, he's still with us today. I think if he was playing today, I think he would be like something maybe like a better and more offensively talented version of Drew Holiday. I think if he was playing today, I think that his defensive ability would be focused on more, considering the fact that we don't really see a lot of talented defensive players anymore, especially on the perimeter, or players, I think, I should say, who even care about defense. You know, we don't really see that as much anymore. So I think that would be one of the things that he would, one of the things he'd be celebrated for. He'd be on annual all defensive first teams. And I think that he would be, let me see, I think he was what, 6'4", 6'4.5", maybe 215 pounds. So he was a pretty big guard for his era. So today I think he would probably be a point guard. I don't know whether or not he would score as much in today's NBA. Although I think he could score. I think he would be more focused on the defensive end of the ball. And I think that his scoring average would probably be more around, well, I guess he would score about the same, because I was going to say 19, 20 points a game. That's about what he averaged, right? I think he had some years where he averaged 23 or so, maybe even close to 24, but I guess he would be about the same production-wise. I know when he played, he was a great mid-range jump shooter, and he had range out to about maybe 19 to 20 feet. There was no three-point line except for, I think, the last year he played. By that point in time, he was, decimated by injuries. I think he was with the Cavaliers then. But I could see him more than likely being a good three-point shooter. Let me say this, too. I kind of get irritated at a lot of people who will say, oh, but that guy didn't shoot threes, and how do you know he'll be able to adapt to today's NBA, and how you know he'll be... One of the key things you got to look at when you say somebody will be a good shooter, whether they be able to shoot threes, I look at two things. I look at their range when they play, and I look at their free throw percentage. Now, I know free throw percentage shouldn't mean that they're all going to be great shooters, but generally speaking, if you're a perimeter player and you shoot over 80% from the line for your career, more than likely you'll be a decent three-point shooter in today's league. There are exceptions. Russell Westbrook, before they changed his routine with the rule changes, he used to be 80% free throw shooter. But, he wasn't the best three-point shooter, as we all know. So there are exceptions, right? There are exceptions to the rule. But Walt Frazier, I think, is about 77% from the line for his career. 77, 78%. And with him having range up to 20 feet, I don't see why he wouldn't be a good 3-point shooter. Look, Brook Lopez at one point in time could not shoot threes. He was a traditional big. When the game demanded that he learn how to shoot threes, he became one of the best shooting deep ball 3-point big men we've ever seen. He's 35% for his career, right? So, yeah, I don't think these guys will have that big of adjustment period as some of the young fans want you to believe. But yeah, I could see him definitely being a great player in today's league. I don't think because of the way that he played the game, he was more of a balanced guy. Some scoring when needed. He could be a playmaker out there. He was a really good rebounding guard too, from what I recall. A great offensive rebounding guard. Now, players don't crash the boards like they once did, but I could still see him doing that. I think he would be a championship level. I think he'd be one of those guys that any championship level team would want. If he was on a bad team, obviously he would score more. But I think if he was on a good to great team, I could see him averaging. I could see him averaging like 20 points, 8 rebounds. Well, I'll say 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7.5 to 8 assists. Playing, I think he'd be one of the. I think he'd be one of the best, a top 1 or 2. Well, I say top 2 two-way players in the league, along with a Giannis or now Victor Wembanyama, obviously. I think he'd be one of the top 2 or 3 two-way players in the league. I think he would still be a Hall of Famer. I just think it'd just be different. I think that he would have to play defense differently. He'd have to play defense using his mind and his brain, his experience, and outthinking his opponent using his feet. But the defensive instincts will still be there. You just have to adjust to not being able. I mean, he'll just have to be a guy who couldn't use his physicality, obviously. And he still was a guy that had a high IQ for the sport and high IQ for the game. He would just have to adjust to the changes. His ball handling would have to improve, obviously. But that would just come through repetition. Rick Barry, when he entered the ABA, he used to, I believe, average a lot of turnovers at first, but his ball handling improved just through repetition of playing against the ABA players. Because one of the things that the ABA did have an advantage over the NBA had superior center play. The ABA, after a while, because they were inferior at first, but I would say by like 1972, 73, the ABA had superior perimeter players. And going through that, Rick Barry became a better playmaker and he became a better ball handler. And that's why, and you could see that if you look at Rick Barry's highlights from the 1960s, when he was with the Warriors versus like the mid 70s, you'll see he's an improved ball handler. Now, anyway, that's what I see with him, man. Tell me what you guys think.